So, leading into some of the questions that we were jumping in yesterday, earlier today, uh,
Uh-huh.
um, we were talking about, Devin Haney and his situation. Do you think that fight
Uh-huh.
with you and Shakur and Haney will ever happen? Still, do you think it's still possible?
I hope so. I don't, know how long he's going to be out or what's going to happen with him, but everything I wish him the best, so we can make that fight happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, what do you think about uh the Haney's not wanting the rematch?
Well, me, I can only talk about me if I was in his situation, I would definitely want the rematch, man, particularly if I felt that he had a advantage and we were going to fight and that advantage wasn't going to be there. I would definitely want it. Now, I don't see why he doesn't want it, you know what I mean? It's not like, that fight was as close as he thought and he said, We know that the fight really was bad for him, and I really hope after a fight like this here, he can successfully continue his career.
Mm.
That's how bad the fight was to me. I don't know. A lot of people may have stopped it, you know what I'm saying? Particularly if that was their son.
If that was Shakur that night, would have you stopped it?
Yeah, particularly because if things like that was happening to Shakur, I would know something is wrong. Something is wrong, You never look at the fact that maybe he overtrained or whatever, because from day one his reactions weren't there. A couple of those punches you see that he's seen them coming and he braced his face for the impact. You know what I'm saying? So that's a clear sign that he could have overtrained. I know it didn't look like all his faculties were up to point. You know what I'm saying? Because he wasn't making adjustments. See, and another sign a lot of people don't realize when your heart rate gets up to 115 beats per minute, you start to lose those fine motor skills. You understand? So
Mm.
now it depends on how hard he worked, and when he got in there, started working again, his heart rate could have went up extremely high. Or as well, he could have been on something to make his heart rate go up that high, where he wasn't reacting like that. But this is one thing: people once the heart rate gets that high, the heart beats that fast, you think they can hear you, think they listen, you tell them, work, 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 work. They can't hear you.
Right.
Right.
So you,
That's yeah.
yeah. So you felt like, that motivation tip that Bill was giving him, he just wasn't able to, retain that information.
Well, like I said, it could have been to you, like I said. Maybe, I don't know whether his heart was racing like that or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But I know once the heart rate gets above that 115 beats per minute, you lose those fine motor skills, the ability to react, the ability to hear, and the ability to comprehend. So, there's a lot of factors. Maybe, I'm just hypothetically speaking, maybe he could have had something to make his heart rate go up. You never know. I don't know.
Coach, I know that
Mm.
you look at sparring differently than a lot of other coaches. You found these
Uh,
guys at a young age, so you got
mm.
to preserve them. What do you think about
Right.
doghouse rules?
Th-
I
That's
never
just what
asked you that.
that's just what they are. Doghouse rules. They for the doghouse, not for the boxing ring. That's a thing to show that you're in there. Wanting to be tough. You could take a punch and slug it out till one person quit. That's not boxing. You know what I'm saying? And that's not the sport of boxing, should I say. Boxing is a sport. And then so it should be treated like a sport, not like a dog fight.
Do you feel like
Those are people's lives, man, in there.
do you, do you feel like that could ruin a fighter at an early age?
Oh, definitely, definitely, definitely. It's a lot of bad things can come from. The worst thing of all, sparring syndrome. Guys get used to sparring rather than going in there fighting intellectually. He just looks like he's sparring all the time. That's what you see with a lot of guys that spar too much, and don't particularly work on things. It does happen so often, and those blows in the head, man. Particularly the type of fighters that would stand there, go hard guard, and let a guy punch on them. That's like softening up a piece of meat. So it does affect you, particularly the athletes that have started boxing at an early age. The accumulations of punches actually put you in the NFL, boxing not for long. So it's really detrimental that you stay away from that type of sparring because I think it was about maybe 5, 6 years ago, the Surgeon General said that actually after training camp, a guy throws a training camp, he needs at least a week just to recover before he fight. You see, this is why football players take off a week for all the pounding and wear and tear that they put on their body. That the body actually needs that. We don't do that. We go right from training camp to the weigh-in, and the next day we fighting. So it's not a real recovery period. So now you taking all those punches and over and over and over again. Where's the recovery? And then you got to fight. So
Have
no,
you
I don't condone that.
have you seen in your career of being a coach, as far as kids in the gym taking punches throughout their career, but then at one point in time, their chin just completely softens up, like what you were saying as far as the
Mhm.
beating of the meat, softening it. Like, have you seen that
Right,
to a point that someone took so much damage to a point that now their recovery time
right,
is kind of they don't have it as much. What would
right.
you have to say about that? Because like I don't want to think like I'm throwing shade, but I want people to
Mhm.
understand because I'm a boxing coach too, so I look at
Mhm.
this a little differently. I see his
Mhm.
recovery time is bad. Do you think that has
Right,
to do with
right.
maybe stuff like that, like the doghouse rule stuff and
Well, it could do a lot of things. See, when you training, essentially you want to perform at your highest impact. So when you get in there, if you're not doing things that's sustainable, or that's going to have your performance sustained throughout your performance, then no, it's not going to work for you. No, definitely not. So, but like you say, athlete gets in the ring and he could box on hit this for 12 rounds and hit this here for 5 more rounds, 17, 16 rounds. Then he get in the ring and can't box 10 rounds. Why is that? Because what he's doing is not sustaining his training or his performance level that he's putting out, his output. So if you're not doing the things that's going to help you sustain that energy, and the most important part is what you said, the recovery. If you're not doing the things that's going to have your body recover within that minute, then it's not good. Particularly when you're doing that doghouse fight, because you don't get your body to and your heart rate used to really going up and down, so it's really just burning out. And the heart has to be going up and down because once I said the heart rate gets so high and it's beating so fast, all it takes is a punch in the chest, man, to stop your heart. A lot
hmm
of people don't realize they do it moves because now inside USA Boxing they're doing a lot of things that they are actually putting that athlete in jeopardy. You know what I'm saying? Because it only takes one little touch in the right place to stop the rhythmic beat within the heart. You know what I'm saying? So now he can't breathe as big heart rate. He can't hear because he cannot breathe because his body is concentrating on breathing. So I don't think a lot of those things are really necessary because the around brain to stop it from hitting the side of your head, which is concussions. So this is why you see a lot of amateur fighters never make it to the pros, because the time they get to the pros and they take that MRI and they have so much white on the brain, seeing the impact from the brain hitting the skull so much, they don't allow them to turn pro.
There it is.